Hello everyone once more. Lewis from Scrubwood Studios here with another review video. This time of some bad lighting. A dinosaur figure, and it is the last one from this box. So you've seen the first two. Now, because I know what I ordered, I know what I'm going to order. You know what's in it. I know what's in the box, and you do as well, because you've seen the thumbnail. I've just thought of that. But anyway, time to get on with this, so without further ado, let's unbox and review the final figure. So, we've had the collector Neovenator Scenting Prey, we've had the Safari Limited Kentrosaurus, and our final figure is another Safari Limited one. It's actually upside down in here. Here we have the most recent Safari Limited Spinosaurus. I will say, I did know this thing was quite small, but I wasn't expecting me to as small as this straight away before I even get it out of the bag. I'm quite impressed by how well sculpted the teeth are for such a small model. Although these ones, is it just me or... do the teeth here... Get that close. Do these teeth here point a bit too forward? Take a closer look. Let's get it out of the bag. As usual, because this is a Safari Limited product, we have these nice, easy to tear bag. Love that. Wish more companies did that. And then this one's come on a bit of a tray. For this one. Let's see, how easy is this going to be to get off? I'm not too worried about warping the legs on this one, because it doesn't, I don't believe this stands on its own 2 feet. I think it has like in fact, it has quite a few points of contact. Yeah, it's actually, this is interesting. Quite a lot of, like, if you've seen like the old Carnegie dinosaur models, they would be in like a tripod pose with like their tail leaning over. But this is the first model I've ever seen which... Well, it's actually, this leg is a bit shorter. Okay, it's not in a quintuple pose. It's in a quadrupedal pose with one leg lifted off the ground, because the tail touches the ground. That is a bit odd. I wonder if that leg, if one of these has gotten warped, like if maybe this back leg here is meant to be more, like, curled up. Because that seems odd to me that... one of the back legs gets lifted off the ground, but yet the front ones don't. Obviously, it is resting on its front arms, and we now think that Spinosaurus wasn't a knuckle walker. That theory was debunked a while back. But then again, knowing Spinosaurus, you know, so many things about this could be wrong. Next thing you know, they're going to tell us that its sail was a wing, and it ran in circles like a helicopter to fly. But overall, I'm immediately quite impressed by this thing. Let me get this tag off real quick, hold on. And just like that, the tag has now been removed. As you can see, we've got all the legal blah, 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 blah in here. And we also have our little tiny booklet, which has its little fact here. It is perhaps the largest predatory dinosaur known to science. Well, it's probably the longest. Probably not the heaviest, but probably the longest. Come on, camera, focus. There we go. So, where should we start on this? Let's start with the head, since that's what I normally seem to do. Head's really nice. There is a bit of shrink wrapping, like, around the eyes, which I'm not a huge fan of. But other than that, see if I can zoom in a bit. This head I love. Like, there's my finger for scale. This is very small scale, and yet all the teeth have been done individually, it seems. Turn it around the other side. It's got the... Don't know how well you can see that, but it's got the nostril there, right in front of the eye. Nice and high up, so it can keep its nose submerged below the water level here, while fishing. The eyes are all black. There is a bit of a paint smudge there, but I'm not surprised about that, really, when painting is such a... Given that these are hand-painted, this one doesn't have it, by the way, but given these are hand-painted and at such a small scale, there's also a little bit here where the paint from the teeth appears to have bled onto the gums, which is a shame, but again, it's kind of something I expected, considering how small of a scale they're working out here. We've got some little sort of like scoots or osteoderms sort of on the back of the neck, which is interesting. And then we've got much finer sort of scale detail throughout. Moving on to the sail, we're not entirely sure what sort of shape this sail would have been, whether it would have been a perfect semicircle or this sort of wavy shape. This is, I believe, one of the current leading theories, although some suggest it would have been more sort of trapezoid shaped, like with a straighter top. But overall, this is pretty good. Moving down to the forelimbs, the hands are not pronated. Mostly, I mean, if you look at it from the front on, you can see they're curving inwards, although because this one is bearing apart the weight on the model, it does look a little weird with the feet, and in fact it is actually rotated ever so slightly, isn't it? Yeah, it's not fully pronated, but it's getting there, so not such a huge fan of this hand. This hand I like. Back legs, very short, because that's currently what we think Spinosaurus looked like. Unless the back legs are from something else. But, you know, they look pretty nice. I will say the calf does look a little bit under-muscled to me. Maybe that's just me. It looks a bit too skinny to hold this animal's weight. More osteoderms, which is interesting. I'm not sure. I don't believe these are preserved in Spinosaurus, but then not a lot is, so, yeah. And then moving down to the tail, we've got this the most recent discovery for Spinosaurus, this nice paddle tail for swimming in its semi-aquatic habitat. And it's got a fin along the top, but it doesn't on the bottom, but it is still quite laterally compressed if you look at it from the top view. The entire thing is actually in quite a nice top-down pose on the whole. So overall, I really like this thing. Is it the best Spinosaurus model around? Probably not. That probably goes to the PNSO Amen, the most recent one, but that one's really expensive, so I ain't getting that anytime soon. And also, one thing I forgot to mention, the colours on this thing are beautiful. Not sure how likely these colours are really, but they certainly look very nice. So with that, let's go on to outside photos and size comparisons. Starting out our size comparisons, here we have the Safari Limited Carcharodontosaurus, which, as we can see, is a very similar, like, overall length to the Spinosaurus. In real life, Spinosaurus might have been slightly longer, depending on which size estimate you go with Carcharodontosaurus, although Carcharodontosaurus obviously would have been taller and most likely heavier. Although, again, it depends with which estimate you go with for Carchar. But these two, I think, look really good together. Two big theropods that lived with each other. They're in quite a good scale with each other. As I mentioned, maybe Spinosaurus could have been a little bit bigger, but not by much. They're in pretty good scale next to each other, and I think these two look quite good. We also have another African dinosaur, and the last model which I reviewed from Safari Limited, also the last model I reviewed in general, which is the Safari Kentrosaurus, obviously wrong part of Africa, but still there. We also have another creature that has a sail on its back. Let's bring in the collector Edaphosaurus, and maybe continuing that trend, the Papo Dimetro/Dimetrodon. I think it's Dimetrodon, actually. I always used to call it Dimetrodon as a kid, but it might be Dimetrodon. Obviously these two aren't in scale at all. In real life, Spinosaurus and Carchar here would have been massively bigger than these two. In fact, can I get a more accurate size comparison with some camera trickery? Put these further away. Yeah, there you go. That's probably more like what the size would have been. Continuing on our size comparisons, because I've got actually quite a few which I wanted to show you. We've got the Carnegie Baryonyx, which obviously, again, this isn't in scale. Like, you know, they're about the same size here, and Baryonyx would have been considerably smaller than Spinosaurus in real life. This is quite a small-scale model, I must say. And maybe for just... I've got 3 more size comparisons I want to do. First up, we have the PNSO Carcharodontosaurus, which I haven't got out for a bit. Love this thing. These two could be in scale if this was like a juvenile Spinosaurus, realistically. Only then could it really be in scale with the PNSO Carchar here, but I thought I'd bring in my other Carcharodontosaurus to go with my Spino. And just to illustrate how much paleontology has advanced in the last couple, well, in just over time in general, here is an older reconstruction of Spinosaurus. This is one of the old Schlake Spinosauruses, and as you can see, it's massively bigger. It's in kind of a squatting down pose, and it's still much taller. Obviously, it's in a bigger scale, but it's still like, you know, this would have been like a much bigger estimate. I actually quite like this figure, even though it's now very outdated, obviously. And then just for one last size comparison, just because I always use this one, so I can have some consistency, we have the Collector Deluxe Koolasuchus. So with that, I'm going to end this review. If you want to know my thoughts on this guy, ooh, I haven't quite decided yet. I might give him maybe a 3 out of 5, or yeah, probably a 3 out of 5, because that's what I gave the Neovenator, I think. But then again, I might have rated the Neovenator a bit too highly, because I rated it the same as the Eofauna Giga, and in hindsight, I don't think it is nearly as good as the Eofauna Giga. So maybe I'll give this guy a slightly lower score. Maybe I'll give him like a 2.7 or a 2.6. But he is a good model for the price, so would recommend this guy.